Alright, so I'm coming out of hibernation to give the S10 a little bit of love. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that wheeling back in October, the exhaust system fell apart on me. You'd also know that I cobbled it back together using some parts store pieces for less than $30 worth of spending. But in doing so, I found out the muffler was absolutely trashed. It's rusted apart. So, here we go. So, from Summit Racing, I ordered up a bit of Chip Foose approved MagnaFlow stainless steel. And I have MagnaFlows on the Suburban, like them a lot, so that's what I'm going to. If you're paying close attention, you realize these are different inlet and outlets than what is on the truck right now. The truck right now has 15-year-old Dynaflow aluminized steel type stuff that just basically, it's rotting apart. So I'm going to go with stainless and try to get even more life out of it that way. But to catch you up, if you don't follow on Instagram, you should. But to catch you up, let's go in here and let's look at what I've done to this point. So you look at this system and it's still pretty dang good. The piping from the Dynomax stuff has lasted pretty good. This is a cut and re-weld I did a long time ago when I got rid of my quarter panel down here and I wanted to lift the exhaust up because it would have been down here, and so I put it all the way up to here. But yeah, so those are booger welds I did. I spent some time last weekend sealing up some of the holes, doing all that, and so now it's actually sealed. Not the prettiest welds ever, not the cleanest metal ever, but it's better than it was. I did all that practicing 18 gauge, and then I figured out that my muffler had issues. Since this whole system was done before I had a welder, everything that clamps on has had some sort of galvanic reaction. This clamp was sitting right here, and you can see everywhere it was at, it rusted through, some sort of galvanic reaction. I am going to try to weld this back together. Don't know if I've got the skills for that, but I'm going to try. None of these welds will be clean. They're going to be ugly, but if they'll seal, all I need this to do is last another year, maybe two at most. And the whole reason I don't just leave that muffler just sitting there like that is because it makes too much noise. There's a higher resonance. My wife says she doesn't hear it when she's driving the truck, but she doesn't have the hearing loss I do. I've lost a lot of high frequency ranges, you know, from my time in the military, getting blown up, stuff like that. But so lower frequency ranges do annoy me more. But yeah, this is where it needs to hook to the muffler. So if this doesn't work, I'll slice it off right here and I'll go get one of those 18-inch extensions and put it on. We'll see what I can get done. I would like to be able to think I can just zap this up. And you see I was cleaning off the pipe. Most of the tube is still dang good underneath the 15 years of dirt and dust. I was investigating areas that looked like they might have had rust through. But so far the only thing I'm seeing any rust on is where a clamp was, where the factory welded on. Places like that is where you got the rust. And that's the actual exit pipe, so you'd expect some rust there just because of, you know, we have ethanol in our fuel and that reacts pretty nicely with metal. So, time to break out the welder and see what I can zap together with this. Okay, so someone who's better at welding than I may have been able to seal those up, but you just look at how thin that crap is. It's pretty much goner, and a piece of replacement tube is a couple of bucks, 18-inch piece. I can hook it onto that, hook it into the muffler, and get my problem solved faster than trying to figure out how to weld that together when I don't have any copper backers. Alright, so Ghetto Zone down the street is open on Christmas Eve. So we got us a nice extension piece. Should be well more than I need. It's flanged out so you can actually slip it over there. I'll weld it there. I'm going to figure out what to cut it down to, because my plan is to take this double-ended piece, get this onto the muffler, and then figure out where I have to cut to get this to fit in there. So there's a little cutting and tacking, and once I'm done tacking, I'll unbolt the muffler and pull everything down and fully weld it. Alright, let's get to work. It's all tacked together. Now I can burn it in. Except something I could not see while it was under the truck is how bad all this is. That is spongy, freaking rusted, nasty metal now. Freaking kills me. Alright, redneck brake, redneck fix. It's hanging back in there again. It'll last me a couple more months until I've got the cash to take this over to Mr. Muffler and get the exhaust system I actually want. So, if you're like me and you're broke because you've already spent way too much money on both of your trucks and it's Christmas and your muffler falls apart, here's a way to go about it. Less than 35 bucks a parts, a little bit of welding wire and gas, and I'm in. Alright. Successfully removed. What's curious to me is just since October, that's how much corrosion's already started on this old system. The original Dynomax tubing is still pretty good. The auto parts store stuff is having a hard time. That coupler's doing alright. But yeah, I need to cut this apart and get the new muffler up in. What I failed to show is how low, as it's currently set up, with the S-bend going here, how low this system actually sits. So I do have some work to do. I want to rotate that up and get it higher up against the bed up under there. Further out of the way of damage and road grime and all that crap. Underneath the bed. Yeah, look at that hole. That thing's going for it, but this is not the permanent solution. This will get me by until I go do what I want to do, which is dependent upon rebuilding rear bumpers. So this is a stopgap measure at best. But you can see how trash that muffler is and why she's got to go. She's barely holding on. Let's take a look at this. So take a look at how they compare. And this one's wider this way than the MagnaFlow, which should be alright. This one's longer, which makes me curious what it'll do to the sound. But it also probably helps me out in that I can cut past here to get this tube back in there. First things first, I'm going to get this attached to that. So I got to cut this off, get the muffler removed from this S-pipe. And once that's removed, then I'll get the S-pipe mocked up, tacked up to this. And then we'll go from there, readjusting everything here. I'm hoping I only have to make one cut here and then get it scabbed in here. But yeah, should be good. Let's get to it. Alright, there it is. And you can see I took the S-pipe and went up with it. This truck's got a 2-inch body lift on it, so there's more room to tuck this farther up into the truck. Keep it out of the way of obstacles and crap. But, interestingly enough, and this is why I didn't cut it, you notice, yeah, I did take that little bit out, but I didn't cut it, because by moving it up, I'm changing things, and I actually don't have to cut that portion of the pipe. It all fits and it all hangs basically in the same spot. I will have to cut off that hanger and readjust it to the side, but otherwise, length is fitting just fine. There was enough room to tuck into there and enough room to tuck into there to suck up what was extra there. So don't cut until you've actually test fitted. Even if you think you've got a longer muffler than what you got, be sure you know what you're going to do before you cut it. Now it's just to weld it up and then bolt it back in. Alright, so there it is. Nice stainless steel MagnaFlow muffler, all installed using the old pipe that I had. Not perfect. I've got a little bit of slant to my muffler, but it's in there, it's sealed. And I don't notice too much of a sound difference between what the MagnaFlow and the Dynomax. Who knows if I'll notice any sort of performance difference at all. They're both high flow turbo mufflers. But this just goes to show, if you break your stuff, 130 bucks, that's all it cost me, 135 at most. Parts, pieces, and the muffler. And boom, I'm back in. And I've got it hung in 2 places, plus the attachment up there at the catalytic converter. There's a junction from the factory, whatever that whole bushing assembly thing is. But a stainless steel muffler, that should last a lot longer. Besides the fact that it's tucked up nice and high, so it's out of the way of any sort of road damage or any sort of off-road damage. And this one, the main difference I had is so I can update later to what I really want with this truck. But this will hold till now, because who knows when I'll get to what I really want. You know how that always goes. But if you got an S10 and you're looking at your exhaust and you've got a welder, you can do it. Nice and easy. So here's how I did it. Hope it helped you. And appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.